Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about some more Sonic the Hedgehog stuff today. Hope you guys are ready. So for this video, we're going to be talking about some of my favorite Sonic the Hedgehog characters. Now note, this isn't like a best Sonic the Hedgehog characters, I'm just going by my personal favorite Sonic the Hedgehog characters. Now these characters may seem like the most basic set of characters to have in a top 10 list, but it's my personal favorite, and you know, as always, I would love to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, but please try to keep it as respectful as possible. Please. Okay, now that I got that disclaimer out the way, yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog's easily one of my favorite video game characters and franchises, so I look forward to talking about my favorite characters from this entire franchise. Some of the entries may surprise you guys, and some entries may not surprise you, so as usual, just sit back and enjoy the video, and let's discuss what my favorite characters are. Number 10. Styx the Badger from the Sonic Boom universe. Believe it or not, I actually find Styx very underrated by a lot of Sonic fans. The reason being is because I know she's a bit on the wild side, and you know, a bit like, you know, crazy in the head when it comes to certain things, but I like that in people. Ones that are not afraid to be themselves and just, you know, willing to be all out there. And besides, I think everyone has something that's crazy about them, so for Styx to be, you know, considered that stereotype, I don't like that she's considered that stereotype. I truly think Styx is much more than that. Aside from her friendship with Amy, she's a great fighter in battle. She's actually pretty smart when she puts her mind to it. And the best thing I personally feel about Styx is that she has so much energy, like so much energy to just get the job done or do whatever she wants when she feels like it. That's how I feel. And plus, I think she's probably the most open-hearted of the group from the Sonic Boom universe. You know, being willing to accept the mechanical dog as to where the others thought it was just like a trap from Dr. Eggman, sorry. Yeah, as to where the others thought it was a trap from Dr. Eggman, and Styx actually thought the robot dog could be given, you know, a second chance. You know, she's very friendly, and this is one of the reasons why I love Styx. The energy, her friendliness, and the fact that she's not afraid to be crazy if she feels like she needs to be. Plus, her weapons and powers and abilities when in battle is just absolutely great. Between her hunting skills, her survival skills, her bird calling skills, the boomerang she throws around, I mean, she is just absolutely incredible to me. And I think she deserves much more appreciation than what she actually gets in the Sonic universe. Number 9. Silver the Hedgehog. First appearance, Sonic 2006. This guy, I feel so bad for this guy. He gets such a bad rap because he's in one of the worst Sonic games ever. And plus his personality doesn't resonate with a lot of people. And from what I've seen in forums and circles, different circles in the Sonic fandom, everyone calls him a simp for some reason, and I can't understand it. I mean, I understand, you know, he has that shit with Blaze, but like, still, I just feel like Silver gets such a bad rap, and it's not fair to the man. The man literally has so much potential for him, and if Sonic 06 had just had a little more time for development, I truly feel like Silver would be looked upon in a better light. Because first off, this man lives 200 years into the future of where Sonic's timeline is, and the fact that he's constantly going back into time to meet with Sonic and the others just so he can save his future just shows how much the man is a true hero and how much he's willing to sacrifice to save his own timeline. Plus, the man has telekinetic capabilities. Who would not appreciate that? Another complaint I hear about Silver is that he could be naive and immature, which is definitely true because he did confuse certain situations a lot, but again, you know, I don't know what else to say. It's like they hate on someone because they're naive to something, but then they don't ever give them a chance afterwards. And to me, I'm happy for those who are willing to give Silver another chance to redeem himself. and not in the form of him being in a relationship with Blaze, because that's one of the more popular Sonic ships, but it's just Silver has a lot more potential than what he got, and it was just disappointing to me that some fans to this day still give the man such a hard time. He's someone who has a strong will to have justice. He's someone who has a strong sense of justice and also is willing to sacrifice anything to make sure the world is safe. Number 8. Blaze the Cat. First appearance, Sonic Rush 2005. Blaze is awesome. She's a cat who has pyro powers, which is by far the scariest thing you want anyone to have, especially if you're trying to fight them in battle. But the main reason why I put Blaze in this list is the fact that she's basically her own version of Sonic in a different universe. And she's the guardian of the Soul Emeralds, which is similar to the Chaos Emeralds, but you know, it's her own version of the Emeralds in her universe. Now you think for someone who's a princess, you think that she'd be very uptight about everything and just wants everything in orderly fashion, but to be surprised, she's actually not. She's much like Sonic. She loves being independent and just loves roaming around the world and just, you know, she's just herself. You know, she's just herself. No one to answer to but herself. I will say this though, she's definitely much more mature than Sonic, because Sonic, you know, can be immature and impulsive at times. As to where Blaze is very calm, she doesn't let her feelings get the better of her. Because if she does let her feelings get the better of her, you might as well just prepare yourself to be burnt to a crisp by her. However, luckily, Blaze is able to, you know, calm down a bit after her meeting with Sonic and Cream. So now she's much more open and free, you know, more free-spirited than she was before. So that was a great moment of character development for her. Plus, I absolutely love her friendship and relationships with, you know, characters like Silver, Cream, and Amy, because it just shows that she's not as strict or as disciplined as she once was now. Number 7. Rouge the Bat. First appearance, Sonic Adventure 2. Rouge is a very tricky one because she's a bit more, let's just say, mature. A bit more mature. She was definitely made for the adult audiences out there that are into Sonic. So, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But aside from that, I say Rouge has a lot going for her. And no, don't take that any other way. Please don't take it any other way. So yeah, with Rouge is a jewel thief, but I feel like she's not really a villain per se. She's more of an anti-hero, like a hired mercenary per se. She'll do something if she gets paid for it. So even though she's not really like your typical hero or Sonic character, she definitely is an important part to the franchise. Because first of all, she kind of laid the groundwork for why Shadow would turn, even though it was Amy who would finally like push Shadow over the edge to finally come back to the good side. Plus on top of that, she's actually very, very skillful in her fighting style and how intelligent she is. Plus her friendship with Shadow is also another bonus in my eyes too, since Shadow's one of my favorite characters. And lastly, I'll even say that her rivalry / relationship with Knuckles is easily one of the best things about her in this entire franchise. You know, considering that her and Knuckles are literally, I think they're like the one and only ship in the Sonic fandom that no one has a real problem with. But nevertheless, about the shipping, Rouge is still a great character, and she plays an important role in so many Sonic games, especially when Team Dark is involved. Number 6. Dr. Robotnik, aka Dr. Eggman. First appearance, Sonic the Hedgehog from 1991. What more do I need to say about this? Dr. Eggman is easily one of the most iconic video game villains ever. And the funny part is that his character is so original for his time too. Like, you know, like you got like a mini blue hedgehog, and then this evil human doctor, and the concept for that is just so original
that you never would have thought that this concept would have got as big as it did. But you know, then again, Mario's a plumber fighting basically a lizard, so there's that. But yeah, Dr. Eggman, he easily is one of my favorite characters in here because the way they portray him over the years is kind of ranged. He's went from being like this maniacal guy who wants to roboticize all of Morbius to how he becomes comic relief in shows like Sonic Boom sometimes. Even though I definitely prefer the more like I want to roboticize the whole world type of guy, I definitely prefer that Eggman over the comic relief, even though the comic relief is really funny to watch. Plus, his portrayal in the Sonic movies by Jim Carrey, easily one of the best portrayals in any movie ever. Because you could tell Jim Carrey really loved the role of Dr. Eggman. And I just really hope that he does return for the third Sonic movie. If he doesn't, I'll be fine with that. But I feel like if they're going for a Sonic Adventure 2 / Shadow the Hedgehog style movie, then I definitely think he needs to be in there somewhere. But I'm not gonna be one of those type where I'm gonna trash the movie because he wasn't in there. But yeah, Dr. Eggman, he's up there easily. One of the smartest villains you'll ever come across and characters in the entire Sonic universe. He's up there with another character that I'm about to talk about in a sec. But yeah, Dr. Eggman is easily one of my favorite Sonic characters. Number 5. Knuckles the Echidna. First appearance, Sonic and Knuckles 3.
I ain't gonna let it get to me, I'm just gonna creep down at Pumpkin Hill like I has to find my lost feet. I know that it's here, I sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. Let it get to me, I just did.
Guys, I'm sorry, I love that song, and that song makes me love Knuckles even more. But yeah, this badass echidna has no problem beating you up, especially if you're after his emerald. Like, Knuckles is such a funny character, but he's unintentionally funny. He's like, and to my Sly Cooper fans out there, he's like Mugshot in a way from the Sly Cooper universe, where he's unintentionally funny. And it works. It works every time. So what is there to love about Knuckles aside from his badassery and him being unintentionally funny? Well, aside from the fact that he's in probably the best Sonic game ever, Sonic and Knuckles 3. And on top of that, his stages in Sonic Adventure 2 are some of the most fun to play in just because of the soundtracks that be playing in there. Like for example, if you just heard me sing Pumpkin Hill. Like, that to me is easily the best song for him. And then there's also, he had another song in there called Knock Knock It's Knuckles. And it just, every time I just listen to those songs, it makes me love Knuckles a whole lot more than what I should. He's a strong dude. He's probably the strongest character in the entire universe. But there's also another character who I think is just as strong physical-wise. But I'll get to them in a second. So yeah, with Knuckles, he's a really cool dude to me. And I just love how they have it so that his friendship with Sonic and Tails is like two polar opposites, in which he has a huge rivalry with Sonic, but he absolutely loves Tails. Like that is like the ultimate like oldest brother mentality to have. So I relate to that a whole lot. Plus, I love that they made him red, because red is the color of strength or sometimes anger, and oh boy, does he get angry in here. Maybe not to the extent of another character, which again, I'm going to talk about in a sec, but, you know, never mess with Knuckles when he's angry. Number 4. Miles Prower, aka Tails the Fox. First appearance, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This little fox guy is easily one of the most iconic characters in the Sonic franchise. He's easily the most intelligent character right next to Dr. Eggman, and he's by far probably the one character that no one has a real problem with. If there's anyone who has a problem with Tails, it's the ones that like to do the shipping and can't ship him because he's so young in age. But yeah, aside from that, I would say that there's nobody who really hates Tails out there, at least from what I've seen.
No, I'll see haters for Sonics, and I'll see haters for Shadow, and even haters for Knuckles and Rouge on occasion. But Tails, I rarely see Tails get that much hate. So if there's one thing I absolutely love about Tails, it's that he started off as someone who was afraid and a bit of a coward at stuff, but then because he met Sonic and hung with Sonic a lot more, he became more and more fearless and more brave, and was willing to help out Sonic even in the most dire of situations. So that's another reason why I love Tails so much, because he reflects me in a way. You know, someone who was scared when he was younger, but as he got older, he learned to be more fearless in everything he did and just stopped caring what other people thought of him. So that's one of the main reasons why I latch on to Tails so much. Now, as far as power goes, how does Tails rank? Well, from what I've read up on, considering that the man's able to outsmart Dr. Eggman numerous times whose IQ is 300, I say that Tails' IQ has to be at least 320 or 330. Considering that he's able to defeat Eggman on a regular basis like that. And on top of that, he uses his two tails to fly through the air. Now, I didn't cover this earlier, but his two tails is actually a birth defect that he had, which caused him to get picked on by a lot of kids growing up. But in a way, it adversely made him more powerful than those other kids could ever, and I mean ever, dream of. The fact that you can fly with your two tails and you can travel almost as fast as Sonic when Sonic's at base level speed. That says a lot too. So I say Tails doesn't have to worry about his bullies anymore, because he's grown into such a badass character in his own right. And I truly think that's something that a lot of people can take away from Tails. Just learning to be a badass in your own way. You know, and there'll be people out there who always get on you about how, you know, they'll always make fun of you or get on you and try to make you feel like you're something that you're definitely not. But this is one reason why I look up to Tails a bit in this series. He does things that he knows he's good at, or great at even. And it's only because he has Sonic around to instill that confidence in him that he's able to do such amazing things. And again, that's something that I think everybody should take away from Tails. You don't have to be what people tell you or claim you to be. You just be who you want to be, and you be the best version that you can be of yourself in that way. So this is why Tails is number 4 on the list for me. Number 3. Amy Rose, first appearance, Sonic CD. Again, I'm gonna have a whole nother video dedicated to Amy and why I think she's actually a really good character. But for now, I'll just go into summary about how I feel about Amy. So yeah, Amy Rose. This girl, to me, gets way too much hate. I personally think the reason why she gets so much hate is because Sega didn't know how to handle her character between the mid-2000s and mid-2010s. And it sucks because Amy has so much potential going for her, and Sega just didn't know how to use it or manage it for a while. But it seems like they're starting to learn a lesson a bit with Amy now in the later shows and video games that she's in. So let's hope that it can grow from there for Amy. But there was a point in time where Amy was just so hated by so many Sonic fans because everyone just saw her as this self-proclaimed Sonic girlfriend that would get angry whenever she didn't get her way. And there's so much more to Amy that I think needs to be unraveled. So, but again, that's for the separate video. So, what do I think about Amy? Okay, so first off, she has a great design for her. Even though her classic design is cute, I absolutely love her modern design. Like the bracelets, the red dress, and the pink short quills that she has, and the 3 quills that stick out of her head. It's just, her design is so perfect. On top of that, the way she was written earlier and in the comics too, I think the comics do her more justice than the games do, and show sometimes. But the way she's written as someone who, even though she may not be as powerful as the other Sonic characters, she's not gonna back down to anyone. She's not gonna be afraid of anyone. She's gonna put herself out there to fight for good and justice. And on top of that, work as hard as she can so that she can become just like everybody else that's powerful and strong in there. So
this is one of the few underrated traits that I think it's lost about Amy, is that she's very, very hardworking and very, very passionate about everything that she does. But that gets lost because everyone just sees that passion as just, you know, a stubborn young girl who won't let go of her feelings for a blue hedgehog. And I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, that's basically how she's portrayed. But that's not all about Amy though. And I don't think Amy's as weak as everybody makes her out to be. Because at base level, she's the weakest character out of everyone. But do not make her mad, because when she gets mad, she's just as powerful as Knuckles. And I mean, especially with her hammer, because I've seen in the comics that she hits so hard with her hammer. It's almost as powerful or just as powerful as Knuckles when he punches someone. That's how powerful Amy can really be whenever she gets that angry enough. But half the time whenever she's in battle, she doesn't get that angry enough. And another thing about her is that apparently she's supposed to be psychic, and I did not think this through until I thought about her tarot readings, and on top of that, the fact that she can turn invisible in Sonic 06. I mean, there is so much about Amy that could be utilized, and the developers, I think, just haven't touched a millistep of what they could do for Amy. She has so much potential, but I don't think there's ever going to be a point where we see that unless they really like make her a separate video game for Amy and go more into her story a bit. But I'm not going to digress too far because I want to get to the next two people on this list. But as far as I'm concerned, Amy Rose is one of the best Sonic characters out there, and I really think fans need to cut her some slack. So, and I'll have another separate video about her, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Amy Rose is my third favorite Sonic character. Number 2. Shadow the Hedgehog. First appearance, Sonic Adventure 2. The ultimate life form, aka Shadow the Hedgehog, is easily one of the greatest and most popular characters in the entire Sonic franchise. However, much like Amy Rose, he's also another very controversial and divisive character in the entire fandom because of his edginess, quote-unquote, and the fact that he uses guns, and the fact that, you know, he's supposed to be Sonic's rival. And originally it was Knuckles, but, you know, I guess some people took offense to Shadow taking that spot for Sonic. Now, much like Amy Rose, I'm going to defend Shadow to the very end because I truly feel like this man is much more than what most fans claim to be. Just a ultimate edgelord who thinks he's above everybody else. You know, if they had stuck with the characterization that they had for Shadow in Sonic Adventure 2, and even the Sonic 2006 game, in which Shadow's section of the game is by far the best part of Sonic 2006, then I think Shadow gets revered a lot more and is in a better light. But yes, so how did this character come to be? Well, while working on Sonic Adventure 2, the writers and developers wanted to make a character that was a rival to Sonic and looked like Sonic in a way. And after a few attempts coming up with different designs and stuff, they ultimately came across the idea of having a black hedgehog with red streaks on him to, you know, differentiate from Sonic. And plus his quills are standing up to represent how much power he has over someone like Sonic. So there's that. And that's how Shadow the Hedgehog came to be. And his characterization is he's someone who wants revenge on the world for taking away his beloved Maria. But it isn't until after he remembers what Maria wanted him to originally do, which was protect the world, that he decides to have a change of heart and save the world. And initially he dies first, and he was supposed to stay dead actually. But because Shadow was so popular at the time with so many fans, Sega resurrected him and brought him back for Sonic Heroes in 2003. And then his popularity continued to soar after that, so that's when everyone decided, you know, let's make a game for Shadow. Now, I heard a rumor that fans were clamoring for Sonic to use a gun in the games, and because the developers felt that Sonic is supposed to be the ultimate good character, they were not going to do that. However, with Shadow is, like Rouge, on the more mature side of the Sonic fandom, so of course, you know, they decided that Shadow would be the best one to use guns and all that. And
this is where we get into the territory of Sonic games that just got dark very quickly. You know, the dark age of Sonic per se. And I will talk about the Shadow the Hedgehog game because it's not one of my favorite games, though I do appreciate what they were trying to go for. But forget all that. How I feel about Shadow now, I think his character's definitely gotten much better recently. Aside from, you know, the occasional characterization like he is in Sonic Boom, or, you know, in, Sonic Forces and all that, but I just think that his characterization recently has gotten so much better. Like, in this new show, Sonic Prime, he's not as edgy as he was. He's just someone who wants the world to be safe. And on top of that, you know, with the movie, with Sonic 3 coming out and Shadow's going to be one of the main characters in that movie, I truly think, you know, that they're going to somehow save this character from being labeled as an edgelord for all eternity. So yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog is easily one of my favorite characters in the Sonic franchise because he has so many layers to him that the more you peel away, the more you can appreciate him. In fact, I love him so much that I actually made a fan game off of him. The fan game is called Shadow the Hedgehog fan game. For anybody who's interested and want to try it out, I'll leave a link in the description down below. But yeah, aside from that, I love Shadow the Hedgehog, and he's easily one of the greatest Sonic characters of all time. But he's not my favorite, and we're gonna get to number 1, and I think everyone knows who the number 1 favorite character is Sonic is. But we'll get to that in a sec. But for now, let's go through some honorable mentions. Metal Sonic. First appearance, Sonic CD. This guy gets underappreciated mainly because he makes sporadic appearances, but you know, no one's really out there, like, no one's trying to look for Metal Sonic in anything, which I think is a disappointment in a way. Vector the Crocodile. This guy, even though he's terrible with his money, he is easily one of the funniest characters in the entire franchise. Espio the Chameleon. He's another funny dude because he takes everything so serious, so in a way, I could see him and Shadow just being the best of friends in everything they do. Cream the Rabbit. I got to know Cream a bit more just from watching Sonic X and also from Sonic Rush, and I just think that Cream is one of those characters that provides that sense of like good and innocence that's still left in the Sonic universe. And lastly, Charmy B. Charmy gets way too much hate, and it sucks because, again, you know, it's that he's just a little kid, you know, what is he doing in this franchise? But again, we have characters like Cream and Tails in this franchise, and along that, Amy's just 12 too. In fact, every single one of them, except for maybe Rouge and Shadow, is a kid, basically. They're a kid or a teenager, so I don't get what the hate is for Charmy is. And we're down to the number 1 spot, which, if you don't know who number 1 is, then I don't even know why you clicked on the video. Okay, that was a little mean. But yeah, number 1 is easily Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes, there was no doubt, Sonic is easily my favorite character in the entire Sonic franchise. I mean, literally, the franchise is named after him, so, you know, duh. But with Sonic the Hedgehog, the reason why I love him so much is because he's fast, he's cool, and he's actually pretty intelligent, even though it's not really like outwardly stated. He's actually pretty intelligent for what he is, you know, able to think on the fly quickly, even though he can be very impulsive at times. But again, I relate to him so much because, like, you know, when you think you know everything and then you go out there and do it because you're so confident in it, but then you realize, oh, maybe I didn't do it correctly. And you go back and you think about it further through, you know. And otherwise, Sonic, he's someone who's free-spirited, free-willed, doesn't like to be held back by anyone or anything, which is another reason why I think the whole Son-Amy dynamic could potentially not work in a way, even though I'm a huge Son-Amy shipper, but I can understand why some fans don't ship them together. And aside from shipping, the man fights for good and justice, and
occasionally he's not above getting angry too. Even though he's not one to show his emotions like that, we have seen him get like really angry, as seen in Sonic X when he transformed into Dark Sonic after being corrupted by all the fake Chaos Emeralds. So Sonic, that particular moment for me showed that Sonic is still just regular. He's a regular person. Well, in this case, furry. He's a regular furry that has emotions like anyone else, but he just does such a good job at shoving his emotions so that no one can see it. You know, it's almost like how Sly Cooper is. You know, it's nearly identical to Sly Cooper in a way, where Sly Cooper doesn't show off his emotions like that, even though he has every right to show off his emotions, given what his past was. But the fact that he's able to just shove it aside just proves that he's a good leader. But I just feel like with Sonic's more willing to show emotion, which I think in turn makes Sonic just a better leader than Sly is. But we could get into another debate about that a different day, if you guys want it. But yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, easily my favorite character in the entire franchise. And the games, even though they range from, you know, some of the best in history and then some of the worst in history, I'll always be ready for a Sonic the Hedgehog game or any media involving the movies or the shows or even comics, because I'm really starting to get into the Archie comics and the IDW comics for Sonic, and they've been some of the best things I've been reading so far. So yeah. And with that, that's the end of this video, guys. My favorite Sonic the Hedgehog characters, even though they're the main ones, they're still my favorite ones. So, but yeah, aside from that, what are you guys' opinion? Do you guys have certain favorite Sonic characters that you like, characters that deserve more appreciation, characters that you think are overrated? You know, as always, just leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll get to it as quick as I can. But otherwise, it's been your boy Lancey, and I'll see you guys in the next video that I do.